Fire. Thanks for having me.
You guys haven't been this high in a while, and your team is changing so much. How much more pressure on this first pick to be a guy that immediately helps?
Pressure's not the right word. We like the area a lot. I don't think that we're going to come out of this draft, with an impact starter on this team next year. But we absolutely will come out of this draft with a player that can be a rotation player for us, whether it's next year or in a year or two. Remains to be seen. But yes, we haven't kicked this high in a while, and the higher you go in a draft, I think the less risky you are with those picks. We've rolled the dice on some guys in the late first, and some have panned and some have not in the second round. But when you're talking about the middle of the draft or the lottery, those are situations where you need to come away with a player.
Are there specific characteristics or qualities you're looking for of a player at 17?
It's really we're really looking at best player. It's not a situation where you want to draft or get locked into a need. If there's an impact player, or if there's a fall guy, that's a mid to high lottery pick if you get lucky in that form or fashion. But this is a non-specific draft for us.
Any potential?
I'm sorry?
Do you have any selection pick at this point?
Guys, one more time. Sorry.
Do you have any selection pick, a selected player picked at this point?
No, we're going into it wide-eyed and open-minded, and we'll see what happens draft day.
You said coming out of the OKC series that you needed to get more guys that can create their own shot and also create shots for others, and also getting a big that can protect the rim. As you judge this draft, are there guys that you think can fall to that 17 that can fill those needs?
Yes, there are. We're picking. It's going to be interesting because there's really a little of everything down there. There's guys that can get in the paint. There's some true point guards that are going to be in that area. There's, we think, some players that could have some potential upside in terms of creating their own shot. It's a center-heavy draft, so we might get a little bit lucky there, and might get a big guy that falls into our area. So we feel real good about the area. We think it's going to be a very active area, and so I'm not sitting here and telling you that if the right deal didn't crop up that we wouldn't look at it hard and maybe even squeeze the trigger. But we like the grouping of players that's going to be at 17.
I was just saying, in terms of maybe moving up, is there much difference between, say, 12 and 17 if there's a particular player that you might have your eye on?
There's really not, and that's the exciting part of being where we're at, is there will definitely be some guys that a lot of teams have circled, in the late lottery, even a couple towards the mid to late lottery that could be there for us.
There seem to be a good number of two-year guys. Did the lockout keep a lot of guys in school, do you think? Is there any rationale to that, or is this just a year where there's a little bit deeper field?
There's, in terms of position, the two position.
Well, no, just in terms of the overall draft. You said that it seems to be, two-year college players, guys that have stayed 2 years. I'm just wondering if the lockout maybe kept guys in school that might have otherwise declared last
there might
year.
be some to that. I think that was absolutely conversations that college coaches had with the players, and really good counsel in a lot of ways. But the draft is getting younger, and that's why it's more and more difficult, to get impact players, guys that will step right in and impact your franchise. In the old days, if you got a pick in the lottery, you could probably count on something like that. But now, it's hard to be a rookie in this league anyway. But those situations are getting more few and far between.
How difficult is it as you plan to know what position you're in? I mean, you got bigger decisions coming later, putting your team together. So how do you know what position you want to get in the draft?
Yeah, it's a good point. Unfortunately, you don't have the luxury of knowing how free agency is going to pan out, and so you make the best decision in terms of your franchise. I think that besides the 4 spot, that's pretty well been locked down for the last 14 years, and we got some veterans that we do like. It's it's going to be a draft of need, and if there's a star player that falls down there, we'll pull the trigger.
What is the likelihood that you flip it from?
Flip it up or down or all around, or you know, I can't tell you. It's one of those draft day things. We do have some situations that are contingent on certain guys getting there. Whether we pull the trigger on those or not, you know, remains to be seen. If we do flip down, we won't do so unless we know that there's going to be a player that we really like and could get at 17 that we could, you know, otherwise get a little bit lower. But it's a possibility.
Are there scenarios out there that teams are calling you with players that are already, I mean, with veteran players that, i.e. the Rudy deal last year?
Our pick is very popular. I mean, that area is very popular because it's a delta area. It's where talent breaks, and when, just like bass fishing, man, you go for those deltas that when the shoreline breaks, that's where you know, that's where to cast your rod or your line. But we're kind of in that area. You know, we're fortunate. You know, we won a coin flip, and you know, the difference between 18 and 17, or you know, 15 and 18, it could be significant.
Donnie, in a general sense, the next couple of weeks, how much do you view as the most important stretch since you've been here?
I don't really look at it like that. I mean, you know, there's no question that this draft, we're not picking in the late first. You know, it's not a time to roll the bones and take a chance on, you know, upside. We would like to come out of this draft with something, an impact rotation type player, ideally. If we think there's star potential and we need to wait a year or two, and that's the best thing for this franchise, we'll pull the trigger and not look back. I think it's a combination. You know, draft is important. The free agent period's important. But no, this is an important draft for us.
How nervous are you right now about the free agent period? How much is your stomach turning?
Shaking in my Lucchese's right now as we speak. Yes, and they are Lucchese's. You know, look, that's one of those things where you put your best foot forward, and I think people understand the kind of franchise that Mark has built here through the years. They understand that, you know, when you got a guy like you know, Dirk Nowitzki and all the other veteran players that have come through here and have had, you know, terrific experiences and winning experiences and finals experiences and championship experiences, not to mention the quality of life. I would think that we would rank high on a lot of free agent lists, and certainly the tax-free warm weather doesn't hurt as well. Ain't no place like Texas. But no, that's a decision that's, you know, for those free agent players is a personal one, and we're just going to put ourselves in the best possible position.
Has a decision been reached on extending the tomorrow deadline yet?
Has not. No, we're still in communication, and that deadline is coming up on Friday.
International market, you got a ringer out there?
Man, I wish this is a light draft in terms of the international. You've got, you know, Fournier that should be taken at the end of the first, a high impact player from France who should be taken at the end of the first. Satoransky is probably a high second. There's a couple other guys overseas, but this is not like, you know, a lot of the drafts in the past. That's been, you know, 3 or 4, you know, picks in the first round. There's no real reason for it. It's just, you know, it's almost like a point guard heavy draft or a center heavy draft. It's just kind of, you know, luck of the draw.
Donnie, what does this team need in order to get back to the NBA Finals?
Get back to the NBA Finals, man. We need to find a way to get past OKC. Those guys are going to be around for a long time, which means, you know, length and athleticism, you know, great quarterback play, and depth.
Any gut feeling on what's going to happen in the Lamar Odom situation, one way or the other?
They really don't, you know. We wish Lamar nothing but the very best, and we're working with Jeff Schwartz, his agent, to get him to a situation that he's comfortable playing with. And this I can tell you that he will have a monster year next year. There's no question about that. It's just 1 year too late.
You have no leaning one way or the other what he's going to do? I mean, he was going to do it, could he just come out and say, all right, let's do it?
No, look, there's a lot of factors. You know, we've had a great relationship with Jeff Schwartz for a long, long period of time. And, you know, Jason Kidd, and, you know, they share Jason Kidd, as you know. And so anyways, we're working together for a win-win solution.
How come you weren't invited to Darren Williams' birthday party?
Because it would have cost me $1 million.
Why does it cost them $1 million?
Oh, by the way, yeah, exactly, yes. Yeah, that was, no, that was our friends up the street, the Rangers. That was a very nice touch and much appreciated.
I think I apologize, but is there an impact player in the draft for the Mavericks?
Is there an impact player at 17?
You guys expect that impact player there?
We're hopeful that there's going to be one. I mean, this really is an interesting draft because I think there could be some slide guys that could step in and have an impact on us next year. You have to balance that with, you know, potential upside, and if there's someone that's a little younger, that's got, you know, some star factor to them, you have to balance that. You know, at 17, you absolutely want to come away with a player. The challenge for us is that the draft has gotten so young, it's hard to project, you know, 19-year-olds. I mean, it just is. And there's a lot of guys that will go above us that, you know, that will be great players, and some that will pan out and not be. And you just, you know, the younger a player is, the more difficult it is to project them.
Donnie, do you expect Darren's decision to come down on Sunday? Do you have any read on that?
No feel at all for that.
How difficult is it, Donnie, to clear all the space, you know, not bring Tyson, Burrell, and all those guys back, to get all this money, to get Darren Williams, and now it's in his hands, not in your hands?
We're in position. That's all you could ask, you know, and so, you know, we're hopeful, and we just got to play it out.
How important is it to get there? What's the priority? Is it priority one?
You know, our priority is, when free agency hits, is to get the most high impact player that we can. You know, we've got a really good supporting cast, you know, and, you know, you've got, you know, Dirk that's playing at a high level, and, you know, Will for the next 3 years. You've got Sean Marion that guards 1s, 2s, and 3s, and, you know, if we get the right quarterback, I think we're right back in the saddle.
When you hear
With the thought that what would it be like to lace him up every day with that guy, and travel, and go on the plane, and be on the road, because, you know, our little band of brothers in there, the basketball version Band of Brothers, you literally live together. And when you start out with guys like Dirk and Sean Marion, guys that are great guys, are winners and proven winners, I think we make a pretty strong case for any free agent out there.
Yay, thanks everybody.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.